This is the Death Dealer, and you're watching Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
This is Trent Hammer, and you are watching Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
Wrestling fans, if you want the best wrestling news, you want to watch Shotgun Wrestling Radio. This is James Jeffries, and tell them that I sent you there. Yeah!
Hey everybody, this is Brock Anderson, and you are watching Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
What's up, baby? It's Ricky Bronson, your favorite baller and beer drinker, baby, and you're watching Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
Hey, this is Mason Grayskull, and you're watching Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
Hey, this is Jared Thumb, and you are watching Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
This is Augustus Draven, and you're watching Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Shotgun Wrestling Radio. I'm your host, Zach Takis, and tonight we are continuing our road to the Hall of Fame weekend as we are still just under a month away. So a month from this time, the Hall of Fame weekend will have already passed. We'll already talk about how much of a great weekend we had. But the man I'm welcoming in tonight, he's going to have a very big role here at the Hall of Fame. He's been to the Hall of Fame many, many years, and this year he's really going to bring something special to the Hall of Fame show. Talking about the owner of SICW Wrestling, the one and only Mr. Herb Simmons. Herb, welcome to the show tonight, sir.
Hey, Zach, thank you, and thanks for the invite, and thanks for all of your listeners that helps keep professional wrestling alive. Absolutely, sir, absolutely. And as I mentioned, this year you got a really big role as opposed to just kind of coming as a spectator and maybe bringing in a few of your guys to take part in the actual show that had in the past been run by Troy Peterson and Impact Pro Wrestling. And at the end of last year, I believe it was, Troy announced that he's going to be stepping down from running the weekend, and now we got something new coming to the weekend. So what does that mean to you to be able to bring your SICW championship program into the Iowa area, especially the Hall of Fame weekend? Well, it means a lot. Troy Peterson and I have been friends a long time, and he has a great organization, and he had been doing the wrestling event at the Tragos Lou Thez reunion for, I think, about the last 14 or 15 years. Yep. And he just decided he wanted to take a break, and so he threw my hat in the ring along with Gerald Briscoe and JBL and a few of the other people there at the museum. They've been down to some of our shows in the St. Louis area. And in fact, they were down there at our last SICW Fan Fest we had, and they like the product that we have. And I'd like to thank for 52 years I've been promoting that we do have a reputation out there, and I'm looking forward to bringing it to Waterloo, Iowa. I think we got a great card pretty well put together, and I think the fans are going to be just as impressed as they have been in years past when Troy was running it. Yeah, I'm really disappointed. So about 2 weeks ago, we decided, or a little over a month ago, we decided we're going to move, and just so happens the weekend we're moving the big stuff is going to be the Saturday of the show. So this will be the first time since 2012 I'll have to miss the actual wrestling show of the weekend. So that kind of bums me out a little bit, but when the wife says we got to get moving, wife, you got to get moving. But thankfully, I'm going to be there for Thursday and Friday, so that'll be still a lot of fun. But yeah, I think just based on what I've seen from you guys, and just it looked like the Fan Fest this year was a huge success. I mean, just the stuff I saw on Facebook from a lot of people looked like it was a lot of fun. Well, and to piggyback on what you said, the old saying is "happy wife, happy life." Yep. So you got to take care of family, and because there will always be more wrestling down the road. And yeah, Fan Fest 3 was great. It was a big hit again this year. Takes a lot of work to put something like that together. But I've like I said, for 52 years, I've been promoting professional wrestling and got to work with all the greats out there. And and that's why I'm so happy that Waterloo, Iowa, continues that with the reunion they have there, the Hall of Fame. People like Gerald Briscoe and JBL, and they always got the special guests that they bring in. It's always great. It's a great networking tool. If you're a wrestling fan, you need to put it on your bucket list to come there July 17th, 18th, and 19th. To Waterloo, Iowa, because that's where the hot action is going to be, not only of that reunion, but of SICW.
And honestly, you look at this year's list, I'm going to go ahead and run down some of the attendees that we have coming here this year. We have obviously Gerald Briscoe, we have Wes Briscoe, B. Brian Blair, Al Getz, who was my guest last week on the program, JBL. This year we also have Ron Simmons. So you have one of the greatest tag teams of all time going to be in attendance. Eric Bischoff, who I had the really great privilege of interviewing here about a month or so ago. Medusa is going to be there, Tank Abbott. Of course, Thunderbolt Patterson, Tony Gurria, Dr. Tom Pritchard, Greg Gagne is going to be there. I mean, and David Crockett's going to be there. I think that one's going to be huge for a lot of old school wrestling fans.
Well, and that's why I said it's something for everybody. And I'm also, Demolition, we're bringing them in. And also the Boogeyman. If I had him at our Fan Fest, and he was such a great hit. People stood in line for hours waiting to see him. And so I think he brings a different type of character. And, of course, with Demolition coming in, people will want to get autographs and pictures with them. And I'm looking forward to it. I just really think that, Gerald Briscoe and him, Gloria from the Hall of Fame. And, everybody just works hard up there. And it's such a family-oriented type operation, and it's everything is kind of all right there together. You go down to the museum a few blocks away, but everything's right there at the Sullivan Convention Center and attached to the hotel, and you can't make it much easier than that, I can tell you.
And that's the one thing that's great about the weekend. I say it all the time here on the show. You park your car in the parking garage, and you pretty much don't need your car until you're ready to leave Saturday night or Sunday morning, whenever it is that you're leaving, because everything that you need is there's great restaurants in the area. There's everything right there at the convention center. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun and a very, very laid back weekend, as I like to tell people.
Yeah, I heard last week that my good friend the Baron von Raschke is going to be there.
Excellent.
So it's always great to have the Baron in the house, and the wrestling match. I mean, we've already announced the one big main event, the popular James Jeffries, the high flyer, the young talent that just pleases the fan each and every time he's out there, is going to be going for the SICW Central States title against Big Nasty Glenn Williams. And that's going to be in a lumberjack match. So anytime you have a specialty match like that, I might get some of those legends to be at ringside and keep guys like Big Nasty Glenn Williams inside that ring.
And I've seen some of Glenn's antics before. I definitely think he's gonna need it. I actually have him booked to come on the show next week. So if you're not familiar with Big Nasty Glenn Williams, make sure you tune into the show next week, because I think it'll be a good way for a lot of you to get familiar with Mr. Glenn Williams. He reminds me, when I was watching some of the SICW stuff over the weekend here, Herb, he reminds me he's very old school in him. He's got the great build, great talker. I mean, he just really reminds me of one of those old school great wrestlers that people, I think, would just love to hate.
Well, he's a graduate of the Cowboy Bob Orton Jr. Wrestling Academy. And I know a lot of your listeners out there remember Cowboy Bob Orton Jr., the father of Randy Orton, the brother of Barry Orton. His father, Orton Sr., was on the first wrestling card back in 1959 at Wrestling at the Chase in St. Louis. So the Orton family is a long list of history. And so Glenn graduated with high honors from his school. And I can assure you, Bob taught him all the tricks of the trade. And by gosh, sure keeping it. I don't always agree with it, but he, for some reason, thinks he can build his future on breaking the rules. And so far, it works fine. But he's that thorn on my side, and that's why I'm hoping this match that James Jeffries, as they say in the old days, takes him to school.
And again, I like to call James Jeffries Mr. Waterloo, because anytime he's in Waterloo, whether it be for the Hall of Fame show or for other promotions I like to run in Waterloo, James gets one of the biggest reactions you'll see just about anywhere in the state of Iowa. The folks in Waterloo just absolutely love James Jeffries.
Well, and what a great individual. I've had him at SICW many times in the past, and the minute he walks into the arena, the crowd automatically gravitates to him. He's got such a personality. And then when he gets in between them squared ropes and that squared circle, he lets his action speak for him. And I mean, the guy can wrestle, he can brawl, he can fly, he can stay on the mat and wrestle. So I think somebody like Glenn is going to have their work cut out with the youngster James Jeffries. I'm really looking forward to it. And, you know, the prestigious Central States title is a title that people are chasing all over. And to have it defended in Waterloo, Iowa, I think, again, speaks volume for what SICW is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's going to be a great night. It all goes down here next month, July 17th, 18th, and 19th. If you have not gotten your all-access passes yet, head over to the George Tragos Lou Thez Hall of Fame Facebook page. I believe one of the very first posts you'll see, there'll be a link to where you can get your all-access passes, and the all-access pass gets you into pretty much everything all weekend. So that's one of the best deals you're going to get if you're going to plan to attend this weekend. Now, Herb, like I said, you've been coming to this weekend for a very long time, it seems like. What has it been for you about this weekend that you've enjoyed so much that you've become a yearly, visitor to the weekend?
Well, as I said, it reminds me so much of just the extended family of the SICW family. At our shows, we treat everybody like they're our family, and I think that's what the fans. I grew up on that type of atmosphere under the late great Sam Muchnick and Larry Matisek and Bruiser Brody and people like that taught me the business, taught me how to interact with the fans. And when you come to a place like Waterloo, Iowa, everybody seems to know everybody. I mean, when I pull up in there at the hotel, the fans are waiting in the lobby. I mean, they're wanting to come up and shake your hands and take your pictures and take pictures with them. And of course, that's what we all do. I always tell my people, treat the fans like they are your family, because without the fans, you guys aren't wrestlers. You guys have nobody to wrestle in front of. And, you get there, the hotel staff is so friendly. If you need information, everybody's willing to help you. Down at the museum, the people that work in there, the volunteers, I've never heard anybody say a crossword. They're very helpful. This year we've got a seminar again going on. Les Thatcher and James Beard and people like that are going to be doing a big training seminar, which I'm really excited about that, because I told them that they pick out 3 or 4 of the students from that day, and I'll work them in on that wrestling card on the 19th.
Yeah, and that's something that they've done in the past too, and I know a lot of wrestlers really enjoy that. Speaking of the people at the museum, I want to give a shout out to Becca Roper. This is going to be her last year with us here at the museum, as she's moving down to Oklahoma as her husband took a job with Oklahoma State Wrestling, which I can't blame him. That's one of the best wrestling universities in the country. So for them to get that opportunity, that's huge. But it's definitely going to be a big loss for us here at the Wrestling Museum, because Becca really does do a lot of preparation and just organizing for the museum.
We call her the spark behind the knock. I'm telling you. So that's going to be big shoes to fill, I can tell you.
Yeah.
And Chad Olson, we got to give a shout out to Chad.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I mean, Chad has stepped up and he's kind of took the bull by the horn, and he came down to SICW a month or 2 ago and checked out all the close-up, and he was at Fan Fest. And, of course, I've known Chad for several years now, and through Troy, and it's really been great to work with him, and I still touch base with Troy all the time and getting some pointers from him. And, like I said, everybody has just been so helpful with the ideas, and we want this one to be just as good as they've all been in the past, if not better.
Yeah, I definitely echo the sentiments about Chad. Anytime I need something from Chad, or if I want help getting somebody booked for this show in particular, he tries his best, and I definitely appreciate that. He's been really great about hooking me up with people to interview. It's like this really started as just a fun hobby that me and my old co-host had back in 2010, and we would have never guessed would evolve, and we would have never guessed that podcasting in general would have evolved the way it has. I mean, when you think about it, now people can just do a podcast straight off their phone, and it's just kind of it's been fun to watch, how technology's evolved. I'm sure even for you, because like I said, I was catching up on SICW shows over the weekend just on YouTube. I mean, you guys are able to upload all that stuff just like that.
Yeah, well, and like I said, we do our Sunday night show. We keep it on every Sunday at 8 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook, and people enjoy it. We have people watching from all over the world. Now I know that people from the UK or from Japan or wherever, it's not going to jump on a plane and fly over to Illinois and come and watch a show. But what it does is it gives us exposure. It gives my young men and women who are wanting to follow their dream in this business. It lets people know when they show up in Waterloo, Iowa, hey, we've seen them on SICW, or when they go out to Vegas, they're recognized out there. So TV is a whole different animal when it comes to professional wrestling, because that's how you got your fame and fortune put together through the way of TV, and now it's through the internet.
Absolutely, it is. And the one thing I really noticed about your guys' show when I was watching it, and maybe this is part of your inspiration from where your wrestling fandom comes from, it reminded me of a lot of the old school NWA tapings from back in the day. And is that where a lot of your early fandom comes from, is watching NWA growing up?
Oh yeah, it's what we call old TV school tapings, and we tape on a Sunday afternoon. Usually we stay over, the boys do, after a house show, and we'll tape 4 1-hour shows on that Sunday afternoon, and then we show them over the next 4 weeks on our TV. And that's how we're able to tell our stories and get the most out of it. It's just kind of like the old NWA days. Sam Muchnick did that many, many years ago. Sam was a former NWA president for off and on for over 41 years. And of course, the NWA office was there in Waterloo, Iowa.
Yep.
So it's kind of all tied in together with the National Wrestling Alliance. Of course, now the National Wrestling Alliance is owned by Billy Corrigan. And I still say that the NWA as it is today is not the NWA that I grew up with. And of course, I think more people will agree with that than not. And people will say, well, why isn't it? Well, because you don't have the people that made the NWA back in the day. What Billy's doing now is he's building his own brand of the NWA. And some people like that. I'm old school. I'm too old to change. Even though some people say I need to, I don't think I ever will, because the days of Dick the Bruiser and Gene Kiniski and Baron Von Raschke and you name it, Lou Thez and Pat O'Connor and Killer Kowalski, those are all the people that I grew up with. And I still watch them. I have the TV library of all the wrestling in St. Louis, and also the Dick the Bruiser TV library. So I'm addicted to it. And I think we all are, or we wouldn't be sitting here doing tonight what we're doing if we're fans. Before anything else, we were fans of this business. And as a promoter for 52 years, I'm still a fan. And I don't mind saying that, or otherwise I wouldn't be doing it.
Well, and I've always said this too, like about especially me doing this podcast. I'm always going to do this as long as it's fun. And I'm sure you feel the same way as a promoter. Do it as long as it's fun.
Yeah, when it quits being fun, then I'll find something else to do. Like I said, I have the Dick the Bruiser library, and it's still on the TV reels, the 1-inch film.
Oh, nice!
And so
that's fun.
I'm slowly getting that transcribed down and putting it in the cloud, and so I'll have it saved. But I got hours and hours of footage, so I could start watching now and for a long time, not get bored with it. But and so we filter some of that in sometimes in our weekly show. I mean, this last Sunday night we had Dick the Bruiser in a tag match on there. So I mean, we give the old with the new, because I think that we catch the demographics. Here is the young talent that's making their name in the business now, but then the next match is maybe Dick the Bruiser against Ric Flair, or Harley Race against David Von Erich. So the people say, "Oh man, I get to see a little bit of each," and I think that's how you market it. And I always said that back when Vince owned the WWE, with the library that he's got, that's what he should have been doing on a Monday night. If he'd have took and put one of them old matches of a Killer Kowalski against Ivan Putski or somebody in that body of that show, man, everybody thinks he's a billionaire now. He'd have been a double billionaire because people want to see that old school, and but nobody told him to do that yet, and that's why I did it.
I'm going to go ahead and read off some of the events that they have planned here for this Hall of Fame weekend. Obviously, on Thursday night, starting at 5 p.m., we have the kickoff and pizza party at the Dan Gable Museum, which is always a blast. That's kind of just, it really is just the kickoff. You get to reunite with everybody. The weekend to me always feels like a big family reunion because a lot of those people, you only see them once a year. So it's a lot of fun just to kind of chit-chat, catch up with people. Then you go over to the hotel at 8 p.m. and you do the trivia, and you can do the trivia in the bar area and hang out in the bar area with everybody. And just, again, nice, very laid back, just nice to go there and mingle. Then on Friday, the museum will open up at 10:30. There's going to be a live taping of the Briscoe and Bradshaw podcast, which is an excellent podcast. That's going to be at 11:30. Then at 1 p.m. at the convention center. They're moving to the convention center this year, which I think is a great move, is the autograph signing. Because in past years that, in the museum at least, and I think they got a lot of feedback on this, the museum, it could get cramped during those autograph sessions. So I was very happy to see them move that to the convention center this year for that. So again, that's going to be Friday at 1 p.m. And then at, I believe 7 p.m. is when the show starts. But isn't there a bit of a fan fest before the show as well, Herb?
Yes, yeah, they'll have a fan fest there. And, people will be able to get their autographs and take pictures and buy goods, whatever they may have. A lot of the talent there brings books, or they bring shirts, or whatever it may be. And so, again, you hit the nail on the head. It's family. And like I said, everybody just comes and has a great time. And I'm like you, I'm glad they moved that to the convention center because it keeps people right there at the hotel. Instead of being down at the museum, then everybody's got to rush back and get ready for the next event. And so, they made some changes, and I think the changes are for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Friday night too this year is once again the Hall of Fame ceremony, which I personally really like the Hall of Fame ceremony on Friday. I think that was a great twist that they started doing last year. I thought that worked out really, really well last year, because for me in the past years, I'd always kind of leave probably right after the Hall of Fame ceremony in the past on Saturday nights. So it's kind of nice to actually be there for the full thing now on Friday evenings. And I think that's just, I thought last year went really smooth in that regards to have it on Friday night.
Well, and I think that the more that they can get the word out, like what you're doing, helping promote it, and they've been doing posters and advertising the entire event, the wrestling, and you name it, putting pictures out there, getting the word out is what it's all about. It's about bringing people in through those doors and everybody having a good time, and I think that's what it's going to be. Like I said, if you haven't made plans for that weekend in July, boy, you need to do that right now because it's going to be fun.
And as you had mentioned earlier, the all-day, pretty much, it's what seems like it's going to be an all-day training seminar there Saturday, July 19th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can attend a training center with Les Thatcher, who's trained so many people, Joe Malenko, D'Lo Brown, that's another name that we did not mention. It was going to be in attendance this year. Ron Hutchinson, who's getting a very special award this year as part of the Hall of Fame ceremony. I believe he's getting inducted even by Adam Edge Copeland. So yes, Edge will be in Waterloo, Iowa here this coming July. I know he was there.
Well, that's worth the price of the ticket right there.
Yeah, and he was there. I'm trying to remember what year it was there. I know it was quite a few years back when he got.
Yeah, it's quite a few. Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So,
but you mentioned Medusa earlier. I mean, to see her, she was in St. Louis with us a year or so ago at the Fan Fest, and it's a B. Brian Blair coming in from the Cauliflower Alley Club. Usually Rich England, the vice president of the Cauliflower Alley Club, comes. Darla Staggs, Barbara Goodish, the girls come, and it's just a who's who. I mean, if anybody who is either in the business or fans of the business, come to Waterloo, Iowa.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It's just, again, very laid back. Nobody, you don't have to be afraid to like go up and approach anybody, which I think is the best part. Everybody just feels very laid back and relaxed. That's why I'm going to be curious to hear after the weekend gets done and over, kind of what Eric Bischoff kind of thinks of it, because I think this will be a little bit different atmosphere than even what he's used to. Because I know he's used to a much bigger stage of things. So I'm going to be curious to see what a guy like him thinks of our little small town Waterloo, convention center and museum.
Yeah, well, and I remember my first trip to Waterloo. I signed more autographs and took pictures than I ever thought I would before, and I'm thinking, who am I? I mean, people, like I said, were standing in the lobby of the hotel and just coming up and say, "Hey, Mr. Simmons, we watch SICW. Can we get a picture with you?" And I'm thinking, okay. And year after year, the same people, and then there's new people. So I was really honored for that, because I didn't have any idea that people would be there. I wasn't the Baron von Raschke's or the J.R. Rosses or people like that, the what I call the major stars and legends. But I was really honored when they come up and ask that. And, I always take the pictures. And, because I encourage people to take photos, because 10, 15, 20 years from now, when you get old like me, you're going to sit back and go through the pictures. And, boy, you talk about triggering memories. That's what it does.
Yep. Yeah, I always tell people too, if you're on a wrestling show with anybody, whether you're a ring crew member, just whatever, get your picture with it. Get your picture with the people, because it's just a fun memory to have. Anytime I do a wrestling show, I work with Central Empire Wrestling whenever Austin Bayless and them do shows, and yeah, I'm making a point to get a picture with.
Don't tell me you know Austin. Don't tell me you know Austin Bayless.
Oh yes, he's one of my good buddies. He's one of my absolute good buddies. So
well, ask him about Herb Simmons.
Will do. He's actually been training really hard. I know he's been looking to get back in the ring himself.
Back into the ring, yeah.
Yeah.
Last time I was with him, I actually took Bob Orton, and we had Haku up there, and Jimmy Hart. Yeah. We were in Ottawa. What was it? Ottawa.
Ottumwa. Yep.
Ottumwa. Yeah, that's where we came up to, and he a great time. Austin's a great guy, and I heard he was trying to get motivated again to get in the ring again, and I wish him well. I'll tell you, I don't envy him. I'll tell you.
Yeah, I know the event that you were talking about. That's his biggest show of the year that he calls Bridge City Slam. We do that big at the Bridgeview Center, which is an absolutely wonderful venue for wrestling, and it's just
the one. If it's the one night I'm thinking of, they had a tornado warning, and we were up on the hill, and they wanted us to go over in a church, and we didn't go. We were like dummies. We stayed in the building, but all the fans went across the street to the church.
Okay. And, I remember this one. I think this one was Oskaloosa, not the Bridge.
Oskaloosa, that was it. Yeah.
Yep, because I remember that, because me and another one of my friends, we were doing commentary for a different company not too far away, but we kind of ran into the same boat. It's like, we got tornado warnings coming.
It was crazy. That's what I told him. Twice I was up there, the weather was bad, and I told him, I said, I don't know if I'm coming back or not. Of course, then he accused me of bringing the weather with me, from the Midwest here in St. Louis.
So, Herb, like I said, you've been a very regular at the Hall of Fame. For anybody who's on the fence about going to the Hall of Fame this year, still kind of thinking about it, what would you tell them as a reason to why they should go to the Hall of Fame?
Well, they need to jump off that fence, because there's no reason to be on the fence. It is if you got a bucket list, you need to move it up onto your bucket list. It's economical. It's not going to break the bank. It is something that you will cherish and talk about for years later, and then you'll become a regular. I'm telling you, just like so many people have. You will put that on your list as a vacation spot, just to come up and see the legends, see the young talent that's going to be legends someday. And there's something for everybody. It is, like I said, there's no reason to be on the fence. You get to come up and sit down with Gerald Briscoe, the guy that's got, you hear people say, Dean Malenko was the man of 1,000 holds. Well, Jerry Briscoe is the man of 1,000 stories or more. I don't know if you've seen a little promo they put on my TV show for me where they talk about Herb Simmons in St. Louis, and that Jerry Briscoe thinks I'm 1,000 years old, but JBL thinks I'm not a day over 900. So they told me they were going to send me a promo, and I didn't think it was going to be anything like that. And so I leave it on there every week now because it's neat, you know. Here I got Jerry Briscoe and JBL talking about SICW. I mean, but yeah, if they're on the fence, they need to jump off that fence, get in the car, and come up there. And like I said, if nothing else, come and see me. If you haven't ever saw Herb Simmons and SICW, we'll sit, we'll talk. You want to know about the old days. You want to know about Rip Hawk. You want to know about Johnny Valentine, Greg the Hammer Valentine. You want to know about any of them, we'll sit and talk about them. Now, if you want to talk about some of these new guys out there, then I'm the wrong guy. You got to talk to somebody else. But if it's old school, I'm the guy you want to talk to.
Yeah, when I started going, my first show was 2012, and for the first, I think, 2 years, I just went for the wrestling show on Saturday. And then I think after that second year, we decided, okay, we're going to make this we're going to go for the whole weekend from Thursday through Friday, and we've been doing that pretty much ever since. And the nice thing is, with it being a year out every year, you always get those dates ahead of time. So it's like I can lock those dates in a year ahead of time and be like, all right, honey, this is when I'm going to be gone that weekend. We've always made it like a guys' weekend for us, kind of a nice little getaway for me and my friends is what it is.
Sure. And again, that's what you can do. And, you come up there, like you said, the night that they do their trivia, it's just not the fans in there. You'll walk in there and you'll see the legends sitting in there. They'll be sitting in there playing the trivia contest. Mm-hmm. Everybody joking, having a good time. They have excellent food at the restaurant right there at the bar. And again, everybody there is super nice. The bartenders, the barmaids. I can't tell you how many nights we've closed that little establishment down,
Yep.
And or go out and sit on the little lobby outside there. And it's just great. Or if you want to walk downtown, a lot of people do that, walk down to the bridge, but if you do it, I'm telling you, you'll become hooked and you'll want to come back year after year.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, Herb, I don't have a lot of time left here, so where can people follow you and SICW for more information? I know, like I said, you got the one match announced for the Hall of Fame weekend. I'm sure you're going to be, over the next several weeks here, be announcing more things for the Hall of Fame weekend. So where can people follow you to get more and more updates?
Well, SICW.org is the best way to reach us, or me. I'm the easiest guy to find on Facebook, Herb Simmons. If you see this, which I'm sure many, many folks follow you, shoot me a friend request and put a little note on there that you saw me on the Zach show, and then I know that you're a legit person. And but what we do is we post our dates on the SICW.org website, and I post something multiple times a day. I know Chad Olson and James Jeffries and them up there in Waterloo are working it also through social media. I've seen a lot of that. Like I said, that's the best way to get a hold of me. I'm not on the TikTok and all that stuff. Facebook is my main platform, and I tell everybody I'm going to keep using it until they start charging for it.
Excellent. And of course, everybody, the Hall of Fame weekend goes down on July 17th, 18th, and 19th in Waterloo, Iowa. For more information on how to get your all-access passes, head over to the George Tragos Lou Thez Hall of Fame Facebook page. Link should be in one of the very first posts that you'll see. Go ahead and get your all-access passes, because it gets you into everything for the entire weekend, including the Hall of Fame banquet on Friday night. So, Herb, thank you again here for joining me this week. Again, next week we have Big Nasty Glenn Williams joining the program. I'm looking forward to talking to him, because I think he's going to have a very interesting story for the folks in Iowa who aren't familiar with him.
Yeah, do me a little favor when you get Glenn on there. Tell him I said to polish that Central States title up, because just in case James Jeffrey is lucky enough to win it, I want it to be nice and shiny.
Absolutely, I will be sure to pass that information along. So that's
very good. I appreciate you having me on, and anytime if I can help you, just let me know.
All right, and that's going to do it for us here on this week on Shotgun Wrestling Radio. Until next time, we will see you right here on the World Wide Web.